Hi, who's new with you? Back for another Thursday Matrix Exit with Mike Colomb, Renegade Nation, the renegadenation.org. And Mike just got back from Bastrop, Texas. He's back home relaxing, right? As if
Yeah,
from an amazing, an amazing journey with Derek Bros and John Bush, of course, at the Exit and Build Land Summit. So, what? First of all, have you been to one of those before?
first one. Yep.
That's the first one you've attended. Of course, we've been hearing about it for a long time. For the last few, this is the third one, and you said it was quite action packed. What was one of the most exciting things for you?
I think probably the most exciting thing for me was every speaker had an actionable event that they were doing, and I love that. But when I go speak somewhere, or when I go somewhere to listen to people speak, I want to hear something that they're doing, something that's duplicatable, something that can actually have meaningful change, right? Because if it doesn't, we're just getting hyped up and going home with nothing to do, and that's not what I'm about. So yeah, that's probably my favorite part of the entire thing is that every speaker had some type of thing that they were actually giving that other people could actually go put in place and do for themselves and to help their communities. So that's by far my favorite part of it.
And of course, you did. I got to watch your presentation and Ron Gibson's presentation. I
Awesome.
wasn't able to watch the whole thing, but you knocked it out of the park. It was concise and impressive, and obviously, not your first rodeo, so you were ready for this. And how'd you feel the reaction was, and how besieged were you after your presentation?
Reaction was amazing, and besieged I still am. So I just got off the phone with Amani a little while ago, and she goes, "Has anybody called you or sent out?" And I go, "Yeah, a whole bunch." So, yeah, I mean, it's awesome, the whole thing, and we go to these things to obviously, everybody has to make money. That's just how I make money by traveling. I don't charge a fee to travel to speak, and I typically don't. They paid for my hotel, which was amazing. I don't expect that. I go with my open heart and open arms to go and meet people and talk, and those things were done for us, which is amazing and never expected. The food was great. We went to farm tours, which was really cool. I got to see an amazing little farm and meet amazing people that own it and run it. Yeah, and had a really neat, conversations with her and the conversations with other people. The farm was amazing. The food everywhere we went, they fed us everywhere we went. It was really cool. And then on Sunday night, John put on a big, huge food party and festival type thing. And it was, there was at least a couple hundred plus people there. This guy, he comes in and he, basically barbecued a whole side of beef, right? Yeah, and it was pretty cool. And in fact, this guy, his business, they bought this beef from a ranch that's right near there, right down the street. And this guy travels around the country and he brings a side of beef with him, and it's a show, it's a production, it's an event. So he goes to different people's events and he takes and he butchers the entire steer. I mean, it's already butchered and done. He brings in a half of a slab, and he takes it and he butchers it right there on the spot, and he shows people, does a little training on how to butcher the different cuts, slices all the cuts, and then cooks the whole thing right there on the spot. It's pretty amazing. So I'm going to go when he
Now,
might come up to Reading for one. So
I
hopefully,
have to be fair and ask, was there some pushback from the vegan folks?
we're in Texas. Texas really doesn't care about the vegan folks too much. And I'm sure they
Okay.
do, and they were among us. But the vegan food, the vegetables, were amazing, right? And we met a farmer that supplied all the vegetables for the farm tour in this one spot, and he supplied stuff there, and it was absolutely stunning. It really, really was. Just the food was phenomenal. I don't like beets, and it's like every time I turn around, people are serving me beets, and I actually liked a lot. One of them was amazing, and I will eat it again for sure. And then one of them was really good, and the other one was like, I could do without that one. But for the most part, everything was delicious, and fun. And that's how you get to meet people. Really, I mean, you meet them and talk to them, but when you sit down and break bread and you're sitting at a table and you're spending time with somebody doing that event, it changes the relationship to another level. And I love doing that. That's so important.
had you met Derek and John and their ladies
I
before?
met John. I've done a couple of things with John before on just on Zoom call, and I never met his wife. Yeah, amazing lady, so much energy, so much fun, just a
Yeah.
fireball. Yeah, and just always on the go, man. She's a mover. Yeah, and it was it was neat. And I don't think I met Derek while I was there. Yeah, I did meet John and hang out with him for a few minutes, and we had a good time. And it was an amazing event. Definitely gonna go back again. He actually asked myself and Ron if we would come back, and he's gonna have us come back out sometime this year, I think, and then do another event, just the two of us. Yeah, because there was that much demand on what we're trying to help people with, right? Which is pretty cool. So
How many speakers total?
there's 20.
And I really felt like you were the star presenter, the really the most important topic that they were bringing forth. I got that vibe from their promotional materials.
Yeah, there was. It's kind of funny too, because John, he's not a PMA fan, right? And hasn't been the whole time, and he's always questioned PMAs, and we've gotten into a really good dialogue on it. And then just before, a few months ago, he called me up and we got on the phone and on a video call and chatted for about a half an hour on PMAs and what he's straight up. His thing is like, well, if the man comes in and wants to shut you down because you're a PMA and says, no, you have to do these things, what happens? And I was honest with him, which is, that with everybody. It's like, you need to stay inside your pain tolerance, understand your remedy and how to protect yourself. And if you don't, then, they have an opportunity to come in there. And yeah, they're the government, they have the guns. And if they want you shut down, they're going to shut you down. But what you can do is you can fight. And we have remedy in the ways that we fight and the things that we do with that through equity and then also administrative process. And it's effective and it works. It's going to work 100% of the time. I don't know. Right now we're batting 1,000. So time will tell where we end up with that in time, and we'll see how those things go. But the more of us that go out there and do these things and go up against them, the municipality, in what is our God-given right. All we're doing is trying to invoke our God-given right, which is protected by the Constitution, which they don't care about. They can care less. In my court battles, the last time we were in court, the judge asked the DA, I gave him all the paperwork and all the court cases and all the precedences that are on our side that tell them that we're correct. And she said, what do you think? And the DA says, well, we don't really use any of those laws anymore. Straight up. We don't use those laws. It's like, how do you get to a point where you allow your district attorney to say that we don't use those laws anymore because they're not convenient, because they protect the people and you don't want to protect the people? It's kind of bad.
I think I missed something. Can you be more specific with what you mean by what laws are being said that are not being used?
Hang on one second. I'll grab a little book I've got over here.
Awesome.
Pretty much anything that has to do with the Constitution. Then that's reality. That's really where they're going with it. So we'll start off in this little spot. So they use their own laws in the USC. We're familiar with the USC is, right? That's a code, the United States Code, and it was written to basically do a lot of things, but it's their code. This is their rule book and their laws. So in there, and we have conspiracy against rights, which is our fundamental right in the USC that we're protecting. Deprivation is a right under color of law. So the color of law is they get to think that they can do whatever they want to do. When I say they, the government, the state, they get to do whatever they want to do, and there's no repercussions for individuals attacking your Supreme Court precedences and your constitutional rights. So they think they can just roll all over you and never be personally liable. Well, that's not true. Right here, USC 18-242, deprivations of rights under color of law, telling that anyone who under color of law, statute, ordinance, regulation, or custom willfully subjects any person in any state to the deprivation of any right shall be fined in this title and imprisoned for not more than 1 year and or both, and you can sue them personally. And they don't believe in these things. They don't think you can, and we're going to prove it to them. Here's some of the ones that we'll get over, and there's like 6 or 8 of those that allow that, those things. Hang on one second. We've got looking for a couple specifically, and I listed probably 12 or 15 in my case that they just really didn't care about. Licensing liberty. No state shall convert any liberty into a license. This is a friggin' Supreme Court case ruling Murdoch versus Pennsylvania. No state shall convert a liberty into a license and charge a fee therefore. Done. If the state converts a right, a liberty, into a privilege, the citizen can ignore the license and fee and engage in the right of liberty with impunity. This is a Supreme Court case. Okay. Marbury versus Madison. Yeah, basically what they're saying is the government of the United States has been empathetically termed a government of laws and not of men. It will certainly cease to deserve this high appellation in the laws furnished a remedy for the violation of vested legal rights. Means we can go after them. There's a couple in here that I really wanted to get to really quick. Let me find these. Common law is still the law of the land. All cases that have cited Marbury versus Madison to the Supreme Court have never, ever been overturned, ever. Marbury versus Madison. And that's if any statement within any law which is passed is unconstitutional, the whole law is unconstitutional. And they have all kinds of stuff that are unconstitutional. Here's one here. Rodriguez versus Ray Donovan. All codes, rules, and regulations are for government authority only. This is Supreme Court stating this. All rules, codes, and regulations are for government authorities only. Period. No human.
And that was how long ago?
Let's see. That was probably in the 50s or 60s, I think. Now, some of these are back in 1800s and early 1900s. Let's see. Here's another one here. The common law is the real law. So here's the biggest issue right here. Here's what it is. What happens is when we go to court in California, I'm going to use California as an example. In California, our Constitution in California is pretty strong for us. It really is. There's some good stuff in there for us to protect us. And in the Constitution, our Constitution, it says that every court in California is a court of record. Every court. And if you look up inside of Black's Law Dictionary, a court of record is a common law court. So basically what they've done is they've taken and they've put our common law court in the back. Oh, and it also says any court can be, the upfront part can be either a statutory and or a court of record. Because you go into like a traffic court and it's not a court of record. There's no record. You actually have to ask for it to be a court of record to get a record completed. Otherwise, the judge is totally in charge. So in what happens is you have to go in there and invoke that right to make the court be a court of record. And you have to let them know. You have to put them on notice that it's like that. And then for me, in my case right now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to sue them. I'm going to make myself into a plaintiff. I'm going to countersue the court and then the system, the DA, to make sure that it puts our case into a court of record, but more important than that is a common law court. And then in a common law court, now it's my court, right? And I'm the court is now, or the judge is now just a mediator, right? And then the jury is actually what happens, right? But it becomes my court, and I can present things, I can put things on file, I can do all kinds of things. And that's what this is talking about right here. Self versus Ray. A common law is the real law, the supreme law of the land. The code, the rules, the regulations, policy, and statutes are not the law. Right here, Supreme Court case. I mean, and there's a lot of them that do the same thing. And they take our stuff away because we let them do it. They don't have the right to do these things. We've let them do that over many years. Murdoch versus Penn. If the state does convert your right into a privilege and issues a license or a fee for it, you can ignore the license and a fee and engage in the right without impunity. Period. Or with impunity. Period. There's so many of them. This whole book is full of them. It's pretty crazy, amazing book. The things you can learn, the right to practice law. Here's one of my favorites, right? So we had basically, what's the case of it now? I'm forgetting which one is the important case. It should be here somewhere. I cite it all the time, and I forget what it is. But the NAACP versus versus basically Alabama, right? NAACP versus Alabama. So first button. And then in that case, what happened was we have the NAACP and the attorneys in the NAACP working to help people that were being, ostracized, criticized, all kinds of illegal things happening to them, and they're there protecting them. And then what they were doing is they had members of the NAACP going out and actually going to people and soliciting services, right? And you're not allowed to solicit services if you're not an attorney. You're not allowed to act as an attorney unless you're a bar attorney, right? Those things are basically an offense, and you can go, you get all kinds of trouble. It's a felony to practice law without a license. So NAACP versus Button, what they did was they said no to Alabama. They said, you guys are full of it. We're taking the Supreme Court. They went to Supreme Court. Supreme Court told them that if you're in a private membership, you can do what you couldn't do otherwise if a license was needed. So you can practice being an attorney without a license. You can practice being a doctor without a license. So all those things are NAACP versus Button Supreme Court case. And that was in our civil rights movement not that long ago, right? In retrospectively thinking, as far as Supreme Court cases that help us. So those things allow us to do these things. And our court systems and our district attorneys and our politicians slowly take this stuff away from us. And they do it, on the color of night. They go at nighttime and they do it, right? All the things that they do are all done at nighttime. This garbage, right? And it's every time these things, new things come out, here is NAACP versus Button. Members or groups who are competent non-lawyers can assist other members of the group achieve the goals of the group in the court without being charged with unauthorized practice of law. And that specific ruling allows a doctor to practice being a doctor without a license, an attorney, an architect, an engineer, anything that needed a license before. If you're in a membership, you don't need a license. And the problem with this is that most people go to court, and they at court level, the local court level, it's a statutory court, and they don't care about your Supreme Court, and they don't care about your constitutional rights or your God-given rights. They don't care at all. They're about statutes, rules, and regulations, right? And that's it, the UCC, period. And so what happens with that is they start manipulating everybody, and then once one person feels like it's okay to do it, and they railroaded somebody, then they just railroad the other people, and then all of a sudden it becomes the way things are. And that's sad. When that's what this whole stance is. And we get 20. If we get 5 cases around the country that are going to be like my case with alcohol in California, we're going to kill it. We really are. We're going to see things happen. So I'm committed. If I have to take this Supreme Court, I'm going to Supreme Court, and that's all there is to it. So.
Meanwhile, there's so much division on our side. There's a lot of supposedly our folks who are convinced that because the United States, for instance, for instance, if I'm hearing this colloquially correctly, that because the United States is a corporation and has been since whenever, late 1700s, the Constitution is invalid, doesn't apply to us.
Well,
and how do we wrap around all this?
Well, it does, but you have to use the real Constitution. That's the problem. And so let me grab something really quick. I think I've got it. Where do we go here? So let's see. Looking for the date of the original Constitution and what should be done with it. So, gosh dang it. Oh, here we go. 1778 is our original Constitution. And when you get into the freedom groups and you're looking at people who've, corrected their status, and or even without it, the groups that are looking at going forward in your assemblies and everybody else, the 1778 is actually the real Constitution. And then updated when they changed when they changed our government from what it was originally as in what was originally done, and then 1778 It's when they changed it over to, or in 1779 is when they changed it to the new Constitution, and it actually took away a lot of the things that we had. So you want to see the real Constitution, you go back and look that one up. That's the one that we actually go by and use, and then that's actually protected many people, because the other one is just it belongs to the United States corporation, right? So they just mirrored, that's in their deception. They took all the things that were set up and they mirrored those and they put them out as, oh, here's the updated one. Like it was still the same entity. It's not the United States of America Republic. It's the United States Corporation. And here's a new one. And then people just kind of accepted it, went with it. And then over time, they just forget about it. And then they just go with what's there. Now today they stopped teaching it. You know, all these things, the more you dumb down the population, the easier it is for them to do their games. And that's what they've done for many, many years. That's what they're doing in their schools. You know, they don't teach civics anymore in the schools. They don't learn Constitution. Bar attorneys don't go and learn the Constitution. It's an elective class, and most of them don't take it or know anything about the Constitution. Period. They know bar law. Bar law is not what that doesn't involve the Constitution. So, and as far as they're concerned, the Constitution doesn't involve bar law. My attorney, or not my attorney, but the DA, you know, I'm telling her all these things that she has right over her head. She has no idea, never studied it, doesn't know anything about it. And those laws don't apply. We don't use those anymore. So I guess they were just made before she was born, so they're no good, right? And that's basically the apathy and the idea behind who they are and what they're doing. So it's pretty stupid. But we have 5 people who stood up and did what we're doing with alcohol here in California. We would see some huge headway in what we're going. And just my case alone, I believe it'll be huge, and especially if we can get it all the way to Supreme Court. If we need to go to the Supreme Court, and some of the things we're doing, I think they're going to probably just dust it under the door pretty soon and pretend like it's just not ever happened and it's going to go away. They won't say, oh yeah, we're taking out. They just will pull it off calendar and won't say anything about it. We'll just go and look for our court date. We'll show up to court and there'll be nothing there, nobody there. It's like, oh yeah, what are you doing? You're not supposed to be here, because you want to hide everything that's being done.
So for the record, for those who've missed it, you want to state your case?
Oh yeah, you bet. So what we did is when we opened up Vanessa's grocery store a couple years ago, 2.5 years ago, within days, the county, 2 days later, the county came came to Vanessa and told her that they gave her cease and desist, and she had to sign a document. And she laughed at them and, told them we were a private membership association, did all the things she's supposed to do to be able to protect ourselves. And the lady, she got all spastic and, said, well, I need to talk to you. And Vanessa said, well, I don't have time to talk to you. I'm not going to. And then she told her, hey, if you want to join our membership, I'll take some time to talk to you. And the lady got all mad at even more, and then she said, she started pounding her feet. It's like, Vanessa said, you know what? I'm all done with you, and you need to leave now, or I'm calling the sheriff and going to have you arrested. And I'm going to call him right now. And they packed up their stuff and left. And then she sent the document that they left, the cease and desist, and she sent it back to the county as for fraud. She said, return for fraud. And it's fraud, because they already know that they're not involved in our business because it's private. And then I actually counsel people to send it back for fraud and extortion, because they're trying to take fees and money from you, and which is extortion as well. And those are 2 prevalent things that we're going to put in our case when we sue our local, county and then the DA's office. So those things all help out in your case. Yeah. So all the things they do to you there's a remedy for all of them, and they don't understand that when they come here and do those things, they're breaking and they're pushing our God-given rights and our constitutionally protected rights. And even in their constitution, the U.S. Constitution for the corporation, even in their constitution, they're doing that. So the thing is that when you look at the big picture and the freedom movement, the Constitution gives people rights. That's what it does. And it really doesn't give rights, God-given rights. The Constitution protects the rights, but it puts them into being a citizen. And they say, well, citizens have rights. Well, no, citizens are bound by those rights, and they have rules, regulations, statutes, and codes is what they have, right? So when you're a free person, then you don't, they're not their liberties. They're things that you get to do. They're inherent, God-given. I can do those things whenever I want to do. And they can't change the fact of that at all. They can say they can, but they can't. But when you're a free person, they can't do that. So, and then we have a remedy for that as well. We can go after them for those things. So, we need people to stand up and say no. We need people that are educated in how to do these things to be able to go forward. We are. My website's finally back up and running. So amazing! It's been down for 6 months. It's just like horrible, and it's now I've got somebody that's on it. We're going to start putting all of our little plugins in, and we're going to start doing trainings on there, and all the videos that we're doing are going to be recorded and thrown on there. We're going to have documents on it for people. It's going to be it's going to be what I envisioned, a year and a half, 2 years ago. And when I envisioned it 2 years ago, it took 8 months to get it online, and then we had it online for a period of time, and then it went down. It self-corrupted itself, from bad programming, and we had to rebuild the whole thing. So it's all done, and I'm pretty happy about that we can actually functionally start using that tool to be able to help people. And that's what it is. It's a tool, right?
It's harder than most folks that haven't dealt with it have any idea.
Yeah.
So your
and that
case
answered one of my questions, by the way. Yeah.
Good. Let's come right back to that. But your case, the goal of your case is what? What are you suing for?
So what we're doing is they came after us. So the point of the county is that they got mad because they couldn't do anything. So then they took it to the state, and then they said, "Hey, state of California, these guys are selling alcohol in their grocery store, and they don't have a business license, and they don't have an alcohol license with you guys." So then they came and ran a sting on our store, and it was very comical. This bozo comes in and pretends like he's moving to our town, and he's chatting to Vanessa for like a half an hour, and then he gets a bottle of wine, and then he goes and signs our membership agreement. He didn't read it. If he did, he wouldn't have signed it. If he had half of a brain. He signs the membership agreement, pays his $25, and walks off with our bottle, and goes and puts it in the evidence locker at the ABC. And then a few weeks later, he comes and does it again. Specifically, our membership application is how we're suing him. And I'm going to sue this guy individually, personally, for $3 million, and for all kinds of things. And then we're going to sue his office as well, and probably his boss as well. We're suing the district attorney in my county, and then we're, as a whole, as the organization. And I've got 2 district attorneys inside that organization I'm going to sue for sure, and potentially a third one for basically ignoring my constitutional rights. And the other one's for all kinds of things. They've done all kinds of nasty things to me, trying to break me. And it's just like, I just laugh at them. It's like, hey, it's like, I'm going to play this game as long as you guys want to play it. And then I'm going to keep on coming at you. And then when we're done, and actually, we go to court next month. And I'm hoping before we go to court next month, I'm actually have my lawsuits in for all those people before we even hit the door. So that's where we're going. So it's for alcohol in our store, selling it. And we're not going to stop. We're doing these things to create a precedent for our country, for people who want to live free. Whether you're
congratulations.
A PMA or not,
Yes, right.
Something that we've been called to do, so we're doing it.
Okay, Orit, you had a question.
Oh, I think she said you answered one of my questions.
Oh, good. Yes. All right. So, who did Orit? We don't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was muted. I said that the website being back on answered one of my questions, but there is more. So you can read it. I can read it. Whatever. It's in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you.
I will parse through that. It is she's got a fairly long question, so I'll get to that in a moment.
Okay.
So, Mike, who attended the Exit and Build LandSummit Part 3 that you didn't expect to meet there? Any surprises?
Let's see. Yeah, let's see. I met. Gosh dang it. Well, I got invited onto Brighteon TV. So we're setting that up. We'll be on there pretty soon with Mike Adams.
Mike Adams, yeah.
Mike was at a table. I never met him before, I'm talking to this guy that I never met that actually used to live in Nevada County. I think he now lives in Mexico. Super nice guy. Hit it off with him great. And we're talking, and he goes, "Hey, have you ever do you ever meet Mike Adams?" And I go, "No, I'd love to." I said, "I've been on his show twice, but I've got a friend that has a show that I've been on his show on Brighteon." And I go, "I've been on his show twice." And he goes, "Would you like to meet him?" I go, "Yeah, when can you make that happen?" And he goes, "Oh, in about 15 seconds. And he goes, "He's sitting right behind you." And Mike had been talking to this guy for a while. So he got up, Mike got up, and he was going to his car or something. And this guy walked over and said, "Hey, I want you to meet Mike Colomb." So he knew who I was. Yeah, and to some extent, I could see the light bulb. And he was going through the gears, trying to figure out where he knew my name, and it was from me being on his show before. And so we started talking. Super nice guy. Oh my gosh, he is so humble and such a nice man. And it's like we had a few minutes to talk, and he liked it. And he said, "I'm gonna," and I like when people do this. "Hey, I'm gonna have somebody reach out to you right away, and we're gonna get you my show." And the next day, somebody reached out to me, and we're setting up the date. So, pretty incredible. So, and then that's gonna be nice. It's one thing being on a show, but being on a show with him in it, it takes it to the different level, right? It's the next step up. So, which is amazing and he understands that our message needs to be heard, and it does. So many things. So that's that's the one person that was there that I didn't know that was going to be there. And other than that, I think that he's probably the only one that I was surprised to meet there. And it was, I took advantage of it, and it worked out great. So
I knew there had to be some interesting surprise. Yeah, he's a Texas guy, right?
Yeah, he lived not too far from there.
Yeah, he's
Which I didn't
he's
know.
the real deal.
For some reason, I thought he lived on the West Coast.
Boy, I'd love to see his testing methodologies in person.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
When I came home and told my wife, and then she goes, "Yeah," because he's the what is he? What's the name of his show? Yeah, and I'd never heard of it before. I didn't no idea that it's a doctor or something, right? Yeah. And she goes, "Oh, that," and I go, I don't know. And so she looked up and she goes, "Yeah, that's him." And I go, she's all excited.
He's had so many different brands; it's almost hard to keep track of.
Yeah, it's gosh dang it. Yeah.
Natural News.
Yeah.
Of course, Brighteon is his product.
Yep, you bet. Yeah, but it's gonna be fun. I'm really looking forward to doing that show with him. So
yeah,
it'll be amazing.
It's great because it's great because he's not known to have a lot of solutions. He is a little dark with his predictions and stuff. So it'll be great to have solutions on his on his channels. Yeah.
Yeah. So now, when you say that, you talk about him specifically, or the things that are presented on his channels?
No, about him specifically. Yeah, when I watch him, it gets dark. Yeah.
Yeah, I think just because the darkness, because he goes into the truth, right?
Yeah, he goes deep into the truth. But he also predicts, and his predictions are pretty dark. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's when you look at that piece. I mean, that's my wife, right? She's a conspiracy theorist, and she has some dudes out there, and I used to tell her, "Oh, that's awesome, honey. You go play with your friends, all right?" And because I just like there was enough, it's like I hear it so much, and it's just like it was just overload. And she talking about all the time. She wants to tell me these things. I go, "That's awesome, honey. Go, it's like, you got plenty of your friends who want to hear that with you, so you guys go talk about it. Leave me alone." And then you see all of them come true, and you got to eat some crow, and now. She's like that. Yeah, pretty amazing.
We need it all. We need the balance. We need the caution and the solution. So
yes, absolutely.
So, what were some of the most prevalent questions or the most surprising questions that you got about your work at Exit and Build?
Well, in going back to what John, said and started with, and he said it, a couple times when he came on stage, he introduced me. I was on the stage a couple times, and then one in a big group in the back, and it was his apprehension on PMAs for them to work, and he explained it because, until I told him my view of what is reality in my head, which I think that, they got the guns. If they want to come after you, they're going to come after you. If they don't want you in business, they're going to do something. They'll keep bugging you until you break, unless you're willing to take it to Supreme Court. And what happens is that most people don't do that, and not everybody is prepared for that. And not everybody can handle that pain tolerance, right? That's involved in these things. So my honest opinion is that if they're coming after people are going to fall. They're going to come after and they're going to shut people down. And you can't just. And apparently somebody told them before a couple different people, that once you have a PMA, oh yeah, you get a PMA, nobody can bug you. They can't touch you. They can't. You have all these rights. And you just tell them what those are, and you're going to be fine, and everything's rosy. It's like you're living in butterflies, and that's not how it is, right? You have to invoke your rights, and invoking your rights can be painful sometimes. And he appreciated that in me, that I told him that up front. He's like, yeah, just like, it's not for everybody for one reason. Not all businesses need it, but it's not for everybody for another reason. Is because not everybody's prepared to go outside of their skin and have a little pain tolerance and be able to fight back. And that's another piece of it, right? You have to be willing to fight to some extent, or have people fight for you, or just to work on being able to, because it doesn't have to be a physical fight. Obviously, it's not. It doesn't have to be an irritating fight, but you have to appreciate what's going on and understand the process. And for me, I actually enjoy it, right? I enjoy working and doing these things to see the next level of what we actually get to do. And I'm having fun with it. So I'm fun learning and fun doing it.
When I've been at conferences, especially film festivals, as a filmmaker, I don't tend to want to sit through the films. So I don't see the films. I'm out in the lobby meeting people. I'm really there for the networking and connections and events. Mm-hmm. What was your balance like? And did you see any presentations and meet any people that had some solutions and resources that you were enthused about and wanted to bring forward to others?
Yeah, you bet. I spent time in watching multiple presentations, and because what they're doing is pretty cool, and the fact that they're actually taking and helping people put together, and it's kind of funny, and I'll get into a little story here. It's like, I'm on the phone with my daughter yesterday talking about what I did in Texas. One of my daughters that doesn't live there. One of my daughters lives there. I've got a bunch of daughters, but the other one doesn't. I was talking to, and we're talking about these intentional communities, and she says, "What is that?" And so I explained it to her. It's like you get groups of people that are all like-minded, and they get on a property, and then they manage that property, and they farm on it, they ranch on it, they build homes on it, and they build a store or medical a healing hub type thing on there, and then they all live on their property free from all the garbage, and then you can always maintain and understand the people that are going to live on your property are going to be like-minded. And she goes, "Oh, like a commune?" And I go, "No, it's an intentional community." And then I explained it to her a little bit different, and she goes, "Oh, okay, like a commune." And I did that like 3 or 4 times, and she didn't get it. I think there's a difference, right? And in perception, but I mean, if you want to really think about basic bottom line pieces of it, it's very close to that, and in effect, and it's she's on spot right on there for part of it, and then maybe just not able to see the other pieces of what's going on with it yet. But but we're calling them intentional communities today, and they're amazing. And there was a lot of people that it's been done all over the place. There's a whole bunch of people that were there. There's people from South America that have had their spots in place for a long time. There's one in Arizona that's got like 1,000 acres, super set up, got a lot of homes on it already, been there for years. So anything from just starting to fully developed to mostly developed to partially developed to, nothing yet there at all, just an idea, and everything in between. The guy, the spaceship guy, what is his name? Basically he builds these homes that they're referred to as spaceships. I forget his name, but he had some interesting things, and some of his ideas. He takes junk. He makes homes out of tires, makes homes out of bottles, out of cans, all different kinds of things. And some of them were pretty cool looking. I think he's missing today. It's different than it was when he first started, right? In the fact of where we're looking at now today, we're understanding the things that make a healthy home, right? And a healthy home has to breathe. And that's what, basically I went to the ExitAndBuild because of River and Amani and their dream of their facility in Tennessee and then others around the country. And then River is an amazing architect, and he has a full handle on how to make a home healthy, how to make it breathable. The home breathes itself. The home is alive, and it actually functions as the way it's supposed to. It's not sick. Like our homes today, you can go into a big, beautiful, brand new home and it's sick, right? You go in there, if you actually test all the things in there, it's not a healthy home. And there's ways to make them healthy and things to do that can be done to make them healthy so you can live. Because the more and the further along we get, we understand these things are affecting our bodies and our minds and the way we live, the way we eat, where we live, all those things. Our environment does so much to us. It's unbelievable, good or bad, right?
You've got happy chickens behind you.
Oh yeah, they're happy at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm not very happy. I'm getting ready to cross the creek and feed them to the fox. I mean, the one guy, he doesn't understand what time it is, and he crows at 3, 4, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Doesn't matter, all day long, never stops. He never stops crowing. So he's not on my good list right now.
That's great. So what do you think is the distinction between an intentional community and a commune?
I think that there's not a lot, right? There really isn't. If you really get down to the core of it, there's not a lot. Especially, I think a commune maybe more so where, it's that phase of our life, that when the communes really started kicking and becoming bigger, and in California it was huge, right? It's like, let everybody in, right? Peace, love, let everybody in. Everybody can live here. And the commune experience is that nobody pays for themselves. Everybody just does work, and you get to live and do those things. And this one here, these people all have jobs. They all have money and jobs. It costs money to live there, to build this intentional community. It's not a commune where everybody just comes in and everything's free. And people, they're not sharing their stuff in their home. They are with the people they want to, right? But it's not the commune event where I think that's the separation. They're building this property and the intention as a community, right? And maybe commune is just a short for community, right? And they're building this intentional community to be able to have everybody have their own animals, right? To have their own farm and gardens on this property, to be able to do their things themselves for that, but then also for the good of the community, because they're going to have a farm stand on there that can sell produce and stuff to the other people that don't want to farm. They're going to have animals on there, and they're going to butcher them and sell meat and stuff to other people who don't want to grow animals, right? So I think more in a commune, when you're doing that, everybody is mandatory to have a part in all that, everything that's there, so you can be involved in all those pieces and parts. So I guess I get my difference. So yeah, anybody else can educate me on that a little more, it'd be awesome. But it's kind of
so I would say more structure, more accountability, more organized responsibilities.
Yeah, and then also separate responsibilities and accountability and structure, right? Because you're not living there for everybody else. You're living there for yourself, but with other people, for the common good and the common goal. And it's basically to get away from the rat race. It's to get out of the system. It's so for a lack of a better purpose, my wife and I, we have our commune right here, and it involves my wife and myself and my youngest son. We have a grocery store. We have a medical office, right? My wife doesn't leave the house unless, she's forced to, and it's usually under duress, so she goes to the chiropractor, once or twice a week and for body work. And other than that, if she wants something, she orders it. We go out to dinner. We have friends that own restaurants, and we have friends that own, we do all of our shopping for our clothing and all that kind of stuff. We do it in our town, and we support our freedom businesses in our town with everything we can. And if they have something we want and we pay more for it with them than going online, I really don't care. Yeah, and she understands that. So I'd rather see that business succeed and stay up in business than save $50 or $100 at Amazon or Costco. So that's us. That's what we do, and we love promoting that idea and structure for people. I think it's important.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to get to Orit. Yes, you have a question?
No, I have a comment. So I grew up part of my life in a kibbutz in Israel, which is a commune. Mm-hmm. So one of the differences is, like you said at the beginning, it's not necessarily like-minded people.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's just a bunch of people who want to live in that environment. The other thing is there is a kitchen and a dining room for everyone, and all the residents of the commune take turns working in the kitchen to make the food, and in the dairy to milk the cows. And so there is the work is divided kind of equally, right, between everyone to do the same chores. In your structure, everyone has their own, they do what they're strong at.
Yes.
So I think that's much better than like putting something and it was just like it. I hated the food there as a child. Unless my mother was
unless
And then it was good food.
Yeah.
So stuff like this. And again, the fact that it's not like-minded people is like a ground for trouble,
Mhm. Oh,
right?
yeah.
And there's always was trouble there
Well,
on
and
a
if
social
something
level.
happens, you're always able to. Oh, no, I'll be out in a minute. So it's baseball practice time.
Speaking of the youngest son, there he is.
That was
Yeah.
Carter. Yep, it sure was. But no, thank you so much for that. And that actually fills another light into that for me. And I didn't even think about that, but I remember those things being done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic.
All right.
So we've got some questions in the chat, and then if we still have time, we'll do a little show and tell. So this is Orit's question. Mike, you speak of the need to self-educate and learn how to protect yourself in case the powers that shouldn't be try to challenge us. What are the best sources, places, and best ways to self-educate?
So there's all kinds of books out there to read. I go over those, and we don't have time today to do that. But anybody can get onto if they email me, I'll put them on my Wednesday trainings. And then you could go to the renegadenation.org website, and then you'll be able to self-educate on there as well.
Okay.
So, but there's all kinds of books, and there's all kinds of places to go online. There's just a wealth of knowledge today that's out there, and you just have to start digging for it, and finding the right people. This is our tribe, right? Our people are out there, so take advantage of that. And then on Wednesdays, in calls, if somebody has questions on that, I'm happy to answer those questions and happy to dig out my books and give them names of books and all that kind of stuff and go forward with that.
And it's renegadenation.com?
TheRenegadeNation.com or .org, and it's right here. It's right here on the screen. TheRenegadeNation.org.
.org. Great.
Yep.
All right.
And
the second
then
question.
Then she asks, can anyone file a revocation of election, or does one need to have a PMA or be a national in order to do that?
Nope, anybody can do it, just as long as you don't live in the Washington, D.C. and or work for the federal government. Mm-hmm. Those are mandatory tax-paying people, right? Yeah, you can't get out of that. If you own a business and you sell products to the government, the products that you sell to the government have to pay taxes on that portion of that income. Mm-hmm. Other than that, anybody can, because we all live in our own nation. California is its own nation. Right. So that's the whole point, is that we all have our own nation that we live in. I'm a national of California. Yeah, I'm a Californian. Right. And people live in Florida, they're Floridians, and, all across the country. And we have our sovereignty from our states, we're not that U.S. citizen. Yeah, but then the processes are basically you're telling them that you're not a U.S. citizen. You're not going as far as you would as a state national and actually send an affidavit of status correction to the U.S. Secretary of State. But we send our basically our concerns, and we put the IRS and our senators and people on notice that we're not part of that system.
Cool.
Mike, is there a particular book that you would recommend for these sorts of topics?
So like this series that I pulled up here, this is a great book series.
Yeah, what was that little tiny book he had too?
Yeah, so
of the precedent.
And I got a hard stop here in a few minutes, but this one's from National Liberty Alliance, and then you can go on to Amazon and just look up the UCC connection, and there's like a 3-book series of those. The UCC connection, one's sheriffs and bailiffs, I think, and then I forget what the other one. Understanding your straw man, and they're anything that this guy writes. His name is David Robinson. So you can go look up David Robinson, and he's got some good books out there. That'd be a good start for you guys.
Very good. We've been so scrambled with your travels and the stuff we've been doing here in Southern California. With Renette Senham yesterday, with the geoengineering lawsuit and the global walkout last Saturday, and Nikki Florio coming down speaking at that, and Daniel Mentz speaking on the nationals topic. It just, wow, I've been just scrambled. So
awesome.
we've been a little bit blah, 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 So
That's
I'm just glad to have you for this hour, and we ran out of time already, but you've got a 6 o'clock. So,
Be back.
oh my goodness, I'll let you go, and we'll be back because I think we're gonna just keep this up.
That sounds good to me. Right on, bud. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
so
Thank you, brother.
Yep. Have
We'll
a
let
good day,
you go
guys.
and get ready for your 6, and we'll talk amongst ourselves for a minute.
Sounds good. God bless you guys. Take care.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks,
Thank you.
boss.
Bye, guys.
Well, all right. You have taken center stage, Satvananda. What's going on with you, man?
Not much. Happy to be here. Good to see everybody in good health and good standing.
Yep. After 6 weeks in Orange County, I'm back in San Diego, and events and connections and all the stuff we've been trying to build toward has all finally been really coming into place. And I'm so scrambled, I barely know what to say. Any other thoughts from you guys, or we can just wrap it out and resume when we have more?
Yeah. Do we have? I see Rue here. She's posting. She's not on the screen though.
Yes, she's preferring to be anonymous.
Yeah, I don't blame her.
I just made up a new word. And Rue, you're asking such great questions, but they are such big topics that I could barely wrap my head around how to squeeze them in. But we're never going to stop. Oh, you just got back from San Diego. See, we didn't even cross over each other. We're so busy. People are all shuffling. So we'll be back again. I'm not sure if we'll be back next Thursday because we need to. I need to take a break, get some content together, and really knock it out of the park with proper preparation, as Odit and I have been talking about, and emailing and all kinds of bells and whistles that we're going to put onto the programming, because now that certain things have come into place, we have that capability to get it right. And I don't want to boast, but it's going very, very well. Things are good.
Awesome. That sounds really good and promising. Yeah,
Guaranteed.
let's try to keep it up as often as possible so we can grow our audience.
Yeah. Well, if you're curious, for just a teaser, take a look at the webcast I did yesterday with Renette Senham. It's up on everything. It's on Twitter and
I saw it. I just
everywhere.
Just the ends maybe I missed, but I saw the speakers and Renee speaking and all that.
Take a look at the very end, because it's just
Okay.
Renette and me, and it's really charming. She's so
She's
witty
awesome.
and genuine and adorable, and so
Great sense of humor. Yeah, she's awesome.
and I made a commitment and a promise and a request, and it was like bam, 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 yes, and let's do this. So it's really good. Yeah, very excited. I think I'm being redundant, but it's all coming together in a very, very powerful way. So good times.
Told you, May and June this year gonna be huge. Yep.
Indeed. Yeah.
Yep. It's beautiful. Yeah.
All right, that's enough.
Good. Blessings, love. I hope we can get together next week, but if not, then maybe in 2 weeks.
Yep.
And Satyananda, great seeing you.
Good to see you guys. Have a good night.
Mwah. To everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Blessings.
Bye.